We are here with Suda51 of Grasshopper Manufacture to talk about No More Heroes 3 and more. As for No More Heroes 3, it's an interesting thing here where it's the third game in a series, and so there is some sort of standard that players expect, but your games are always very, very different from one another, and I wonder how much quirkiness, how much experimentation are you allowed to bring to No More Heroes 3 versus the other games you've worked on?
Basically, it's the short answer, but he's going to experiment a lot with this. Can't really tell too much details about the game yet, but as for his main part, which is working on the script, he's experimented a lot with a lot of new things, and everyone else in the team is also working very hard to try their best to add something new to the formula. One big challenge for them is just being a small studio, an indie-sized studio, and just trying to make an open-world game like this. That in itself is a big challenge.
And when it comes to your players, and especially your fans who have sort of been along for the ride and played through the games that you've made for such a long time, do you feel like you're beholden to any sort of expectation they have, or do you approach each project just looking to sort of challenge yourself and move into try different things that you've never tried before?
This time around, he's definitely given a lot of attention to what people want and what he thinks people are looking for to see in the new No More Heroes game. But in terms of his own working on the script, it always just comes down to a battle between him and himself. How he can, give form to all the images in his head and really make it into something. So when it comes to straight writing, he really just sort of focuses in on what he wants to do.
There is something to be said about, like, when you approach a genre and you work in that, you're probably making the kind of game that you want to make. But you mentioned there is this sort of dearth in horror games right now, and I do wonder, what do you want to see out of the horror genre? What do you want to see out of either your studio, or what do you want to see out of the studio at large to sort of, for lack of better terms, bring horror back?
So he feels like the horror genre, regardless of the media, is a genre where people can really be experimental, regardless of budget, and just do a bunch of crazy things, and it's okay. People will still go for that and accept it. Like, for example, in film, horror movies are still constantly made all around the world. They constantly sell. People always go to see them. Even in Japan, there's this movie that was made called Don't Stop the Camera. It's like a zombie movie that recently that actually became a great hit, even though it was made with a very low budget. And so he wonders, why can't this be the same for games? He feels like even with games, the horror genre should be a place where people can go, it's a low budget, just do something crazy and see how it sticks to the wall. So he's hoping to bring that feeling back.